بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته ومن والاه. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hadith number 227. Yes, brother.
Narrated Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh. In his last hajj, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed tawaf of the Kaaba riding a camel and pointed a bent-headed stick towards the corner, black stone.
In this hadith, what can we learn from that? We learn that the Prophet performed his tawaf riding a camel, which means that when needed, a person can ride while doing the tawaf. Nowadays, it is almost impossible to ride. So it is impossible, though, to be carried. They have special beds, like for those who are unable to make tawaf, and 4 men carry it. Or to be in a wheelchair. And if a person does that without any need, his reward gets less, but his tawaf is correct. So why did the Prophet ﷺ make tawaf? The scholars say that on that day, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people wanted to learn from the Prophet and maybe ask him questions. And if he was on foot, that would have been a little bit difficult. So he had to make his tawaf on his camel, so that if anyone needed a question, they can see him and communicate with him. And also it would be safer for him, alayhi salatu wasalam, not to walk. And also it would be possible for those far away to learn by seeing him, alayhi salatu wasalam, making tawaf. So whenever he comes to the Hajar al-Aswad, he faces the Hajar al-Aswad and says Allahu Akbar or Allahu Akbar. This is all part of the Sunnah. And he had what is known as a mihjan. And a mihjan is a stick with a bent top. And people use this either to collect things or to snatch things, or for the camel, for the ride. And they can use this for many different reasons. So again, this reiterates the fact that if you cannot kiss it, the black stone, then you touch it with your hand and kiss your hand. If not, then you touch it with a stick if you had, or an umbrella, providing that you would not harm people. Nowadays, it is almost impossible not to harm people. If you have a stick or an umbrella and you would like to go and touch the black stone, you probably poke a couple of people's eyes and maybe injure 3 or 4 on the way back. So this is not recommended unless it is possible. Moving on to the following hadith, hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. I will read this. He said that I have not seen the Prophet ﷺ touching except the 2 Yemenite corners, and that is the ones facing Yemen. Touching of what? Of the Kaaba. And we spoke about this last time, and we said that Ibn Abbas advised Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with them, not to touch anything except these 2 corners. The black stone and the corner before it, which is the Yemeni corner. And they're called Yemeni corners because in Arabic, we sometimes call 2 things with the name of one. Instead of saying Abu Bakr and Umar, we say the 2 Umars. This is in Arabic. So usually you would find in Arabic saying that the 2 Umars came. And you think, my God, who are the second Umar? I know Umar ibn Khattab. Who's the second one? The Arab says, no. We are referring to Abu Bakr. And likewise, they say the 2 moons. And they're referring to the moon and the sun. And in the hadith of Aisha, when she said that fire would not be lit in the houses of the Prophet ﷺ for cooking for 2 consecutive months. We would see the crescent, then the crescent, then the crescent, 2 months. And Urwa ibn Zubair said, my aunt, or my mother, because she is his aunt, his mother is Asma. So he asked her, my mother, as the mother of the believers, what did you feed on? She said, the 2 blacks, and then explained, dates and water. So this is in Arabic. Water is water black, No, this is known in Arabic as at-taghlib, enforcement or reinforcement of one over the other. So this is known in Arabic, and this is also displayed here. Moving on to the chapter that deals with at-tamattu'. And now we are going to talk about the different types of hajj. The first hadith is hadith number 229.
Narrated, I asked Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu about hajj at-tamattu'. He ordered me to perform it. I asked him about the hadith, the sacrifice. He said, you have to slaughter a camel, a cow, or a sheep, or you may share the hadith with the others. It seemed that some people disliked it, that is the hajj at-tamattu'. I slept and dreamed as if a person was announcing, Hajj Mabrur, and accepted Mutta, Hajj at-tamattu'. I went to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu and narrated it to him. He said, Allah is greater. That was the tradition of Abu al-Qasim, that is Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
In this hadith, Abu Jamrah asked Ibn Abbas regarding tamattu', which is one of the types of hajj. And I'll explain it inshallah to you so that you would understand it without any problem, but you have to comprehend it and understand it so that you would not forget it. So Ibn Abbas told him that yes, there is sacrifice, and before that he said yes, there is mut'ah. Why did he ask him? Because there was a dispute among the companions whether to offer mut'ah or not, and some companions such as Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, and other companions did not recommend it, and we will come to know why inshallah. And then he asked him about the sacrifice. He told him you should do a camel, a cow, a sheep. These are not mandatory, huh? It's mandatory for you to have 1/7 of a cow, 1/7 of a camel, or a sheep. But he's telling him that if you want to sacrifice a whole camel, this is good, and a whole cow, this is good, but one sheep. If not, then 1/7 of the mentioned 2. And then Abu Jamrah says that I had the knowledge that there are people who did not like it, such as Umar, may Allah be pleased with him. So I slept and had a dream, and in my dream a man came to me congratulating me, saying to me that mashallah, Hajj Mabrur, accepted Hajj, and the mut'ah is also accepted. And when I woke up and I relayed this and I told Ibn Abbas about my vision, my dream, he was happy and he said Allahu Akbar, a sign of happiness. And he said that this is the sunnah of Abu al-Qasim. The Prophet ﷺ's nickname is Abu al-Qasim. And that is why at his life it was forbidden to call someone his name and to use his nickname. To call someone his name, Muhammad, this was permissible, but not to give him the same nickname, because then this would not be appropriate at the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. And that is why while the Prophet was walking in the street once, he heard someone saying, Abu al-Qasim. So the Prophet turned around and said, yes. And the man said, no, I did not mean you. He was calling someone else Abu al-Qasim. So the Prophet ﷺ forbade them from using that nickname during his lifetime. After his death, you can call Abu al-Qasim as you wish. So what are the types of hajj that we have? There are 3 main types, and I don't know if the time allows me, but I will explain as much as possible inshallah. There is tamattu', and the person doing it is called mutamatti'. There is qiran, and the person doing it is known as qarin. And there is ifrad, and the person doing it is called mufrid. So these are the 3 types of hajj. We will elaborate a little bit more after the break, so stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So what is the difference between tamattu', qiran and ifrad? Scholars say that tamattu' is the best of the 3. because it involves making a separate umrah, tawaf, sa'i, and then you cut your hair and you wear your normal clothes. You do everything that was forbidden before ihram. If you have a wife, you can have intimacy, you can perfume, you can clip your nails, you clip your hair, you do whatever you wish, wear normal clothes. On the 8th of the Hijjah, which is known as Yawmut Tarwiyah, the day of Tarwiyah, you wear your ihram and make talbiyah of hajj. And you perform your normal rituals of hajj with the pillars of hajj. And the pillars of hajj is ihram, is to stand on the day of Arafah, is to offer tawaf al-ifada, which is the pillar of hajj, and sa'i al-hajj. This is what? Mutamatti'. Qarin and mufrid. They are exactly the same in every action they do for hajj, with the exception that the intention is different and that the qarin has to sacrifice an animal. What do you mean that the intention is different? The qarin intends that a umrah is embedded in his hajj, though he does not offer a separate umrah, tawaf, sa'i, and cuts his hair. No, it is hidden, it is embedded, and he gets the reward of both. And he sacrifices on the 10th day of Hijjah. The mufrid does exactly the same, but he does not sacrifice, and there is no umrah for him. Now, the three almost share the same acts of hajj, beginning from 8th al-Hijjah onwards. What do you mean? I mean that the three, mutamatti', qarin, and mufrid, they must, on the 8th of the Hijjah, do the same rituals approximately, in the sense that they go to Mina on the 8th. They spend the day there until the 9th of the Hijjah, which is the morning of Arafah. They go to Arafah, all of them, the three. And they move from Arafah after sunset to Muzdalifah, and they spend the night there in Muzdalifah until the break of dawn. After praying Fajr, they go all to Mina, and they throw the stones or the pebbles of one of the three jimar, which is Jamaratul Aqaba, the biggest one, only one on the 10th. And then they slaughter their sacrifice, they shave their hair, and they offer tawaf al-ifada and sa'i al-hajj, and by this their hajj would be completed. They have mandatory things left, and that is the 10th of the Hijjah, they must sleep and spend the night in Mina. The following day, the 11th, after the adhan of Dhuhr, they must throw the three pebbles, the smallest, the middle, and the biggest, or the largest. And then they spend the night until the morning of the 12th. After Zawal, after the adhan, they throw the three pebbles again, and they have a choice, either to leave or to spend the 13th as well. But it's up to them to leave or not. And they have to leave before sunset on the 12th. They go to Mecca, they offer the farewell wada' tawaf, and they leave outside Mecca to Jeddah or to their country or to wherever, or they stay. It's up to them. But if they stay, the last thing that they should do is making tawaf al-wada', the farewell tawaf, before they leave Mecca. This is the hajj. Very simple. There are few technicalities here and there that make it a little bit different. But I will not go into these technicalities now, so that after we read a number of hadiths and you comprehend this and we repeat this process again and again, then we mention some of the things that you can do. The following hadith is hadith of Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, and it's a long hadith. We need someone to read it. Yes, Muhammad Aman.
Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anh reported, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam observed tamattu in Hajjatul Wada by offering umrah to the Hajj and gave sacrifice. So he drove the sacrificial animals with him from pronounced talbiyah for umrah and then pronounced talbiyah for hajj. And the people performed tamattu in the company of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They put on ihram for umrah first and then for hajj. Some of them had sacrificial animals which they had brought with them, whereas some of them had none to sacrifice. So when Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Mecca, he said to the people, "He who amongst you has brought sacrificial animals along with him must not treat as lawful anything which has become unlawful for him till he has completed the hajj. And he who amongst you has not brought the sacrificial animals should circumambulate the house and run between al-Safa and al-Marwa and clip his hair and put off the ihram. And then again put on the ihram for hajj and offer sacrifice of animal. But he who does not find the sacrificial animal, he should observe fast for 3 days during the hajj and for 7 days when he returns to his family." Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam circumambulated the house when he came to Mecca. He first kissed the corner of the Kaaba containing the black stone, then walked quickly in 3 circuits out of 7 and walked in 4 circuits. And then when he had finished the circumambulation of the house, he observed 2 rak'ahs of prayer at the station of Ibrahim and departed and came to As-Safa and walked 7 times between As-Safa and Al-Marwa. After that, he did not treat anything as lawful which had become unlawful till he had completed his hajj and sacrificed his animal on the day of sacrifice, 10th of Zilhijjah, and then went back and performed circumambulation of the house known as Tawaf Ifada, after which all that was unlawful for him became lawful, and those who had brought the sacrificial animals along with them did as Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam had done.
Now this is a description of the pilgrimage of the Prophet ﷺ. And scholars differed. What did the Prophet ﷺ perform? Did he perform tamattu'? Did he perform? The Prophet ﷺ wanted to perform tamattu' in the sense that he wanted to make a umrah, but then he was informed that whoever drove and took out with him his hadi, his sacrifice animals, cannot at all cut his hair, wear his normal clothes until the sacrifice is slaughtered. So the Prophet, when they came to Mecca, he told them, those among you who had driven their hadi should remain on their ihram. You cannot make umrah and wear your normal clothes because you have driven your hadi. Those who didn't drive and bring with them the sacrifice animal, you should make umrah and cut your hair, clip your hair, and not wear your normal clothes until the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. And in another narration they said, O Prophet of Allah, you're telling us to become halal again, to take off the ihram after our umrah, though we came for hajj? What kind of halal, what kind of things that we permitted to do? And the Prophet said, every single thing that was unlawful for you because of the state of ihram, after your umrah, because you did not take the hadi with you, you can do everything. So the scholars differed. What was the type of ihram did the Prophet commit? The most authentic opinion, and Ibn al-Qayyim has supported this opinion, like his Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah, like all our sheikhs, that the Prophet was doing qiran. And why was he doing qiran? Because the person who's doing qiran cannot change, cannot become halal again unless he slaughters his animal. And the Prophet had his sacrifice with him. And he said in another hadith, when people said, but what about you? Why should we make umrah and you're not making umrah and wearing your normal clothes? He said that I had wished that I did not bring with me the hadi, so that I can make umrah and stay all this period wearing normal clothes, doing normal things, and on the 8th I would wear my ihram again. Why do scholars say that this is much better than qiran and ifrad, that is tamattu'? They say because you're making two rituals, a separate umrah and a separate hajj in one journey. And this is the value of it. While Qiran, he's doing one ritual in one journey. And likewise, Mufrid is doing one ritual in one journey. So they say that this is the best of the rituals which the Prophet hoped and wished that he would have done. Some scholars say the best of all rituals is Qiran, not Tamattu'. Why? They said because this is what Allah chose for the Prophet. And Allah does not choose anything except the best for the Prophet. But they answered them back by saying, if it was the best, the Prophet ﷺ would not have wished that he did not bring the sacrifice, and so he would have made a umrah like them. So wishing something means that it is a better stage. Nowadays, it is very rare, if not difficult to find or impossible to find people coming and bringing their sacrifice with them. So you don't find people coming from... I've seen people in Hajj coming from Yemen and coming from outside of Mecca, carrying their sheep or goat on their back. I've seen this with my own eyes. And this is a sign of glorifying Allah Azza wa Jal, because the sacrifice is not just meat. It is a form of worshipping Allah by driving your sacrifice for the sake of Allah. And it's a lot of trouble. Yet this is what the Prophet did on the Hajj of farewell Hajj. The Prophet sacrificed how many? 100 camels. He slaughtered 63 with his own hand and gave the knife to Ali to continue or to complete the 37. And these sacrifices are for the sake of Allah. The meat, what will happen to it? It will go to the poor people. And you will probably eat a portion of it, but you will give the rest to the people. So these are the things that the Prophet ﷺ did. We will elaborate a little bit more, inshallah. But I'm afraid that we have to depart. And inshallah, when we meet next time, we'll elaborate a little bit more. And until then, fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.